All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. Trump has struck an ISIS camp in 𝗪𝗂𝗃 state of Nigeria. I'm going to have Juan Savin on and Mike Arnold to discuss this further. Mike Arnold does a lot of expeditions down there. He has a lot of he does a lot of charity work in Nigeria with Christians. The Christian genocide right now is at full speed ahead. It's really, really bad. I'm going to bring both men on. But first, remember that Juan was in Africa not too long ago. I believe it was Nigeria. We'll hear more from Juan about 5-6 months ago. And sure enough, fast forward to now, things are popping off in Africa. Now, this was like a sleight of hand. We're all watching Venezuela, and then boom, the strikes happen in 𝗪𝗂𝗃 state in Nigeria on Christmas Day. A very symbolic first step. Let's bring on Mike Arnold and Juan Savin right now. Mike, thank you for joining me. You're doing very important work in Nigeria, in Africa. And Juan, you were just there. So let's begin with, first of all, let's start with Juan. Juan, you were there not too long ago. And now these things are popping off.
Yeah, I mean, I've been all through Africa on a number of different things. And the situation in Nigeria, the kidnapping of Christians, the attacking of Christians in churches and the community, those groups are all over Africa. But Nigeria has just been one of the hardest places of all, trying to police it. They hide out in certain areas up at the Niger border. Niger's had the same problems. You got to start somewhere. It's going to have to go to other places also. As I've mentioned, Trump's going to go after 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗶𝗋 in South Africa, where a lot of the problems have also got serious origins, just like going after Maduro with a criminal indictment and putting a bounty on his head for supporting the terrorism. Same thing's going to happen with 𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗃 in South Africa. And it'll go other places. But this strike in Nigeria, there's symbolism. Of course, they're attacking the Christians, doing it on Christmas. This Christian holiday makes a lot of sense to send a message, and that's exactly what's happened. So anyway,
Mike,
I don't want to take from Mike's time. Mike's doing heavy lifting down there too. So I'll pass over to you there, Mike.
So, Mike, yeah, it is symbolic that he struck them on Christmas Day, right? I mean, this is pretty crazy. And what exactly did he hit? Just an encampment?
Well, the reports are still coming in on exactly what was hit and who was killed. It was an ISIS camp, is what's reported. That's what Trump said. ISIS relocated there. It's been called their headquarters. They renamed it 𝗪𝗏, Islamic State West African Province. And it's been operating there with impunity. Targeting them and doing it in 𝗪𝗂𝗃 state, I believe, is very symbolic. I believe this is a sign of things to come. Because ISIS there, 𝗪𝗏, has not been the ringleaders of the Christian genocide. That's been more the Fulani ethnic militia and Boko Haram. And 𝗪𝗂𝗃 state, far northwest, is far behind enemy lines. It's not really a site where a lot of the genocide is happening. What it is, though, is the headquarters of the 𝗪𝗂𝗃 Caliphate. This was the epicenter of Islam in West Africa. 108 million Muslims answer to the Sultan of 𝗪𝗂𝗃, who's there. And ISIS being an international terror organization, again, I think both of those were, and Christmas Day added, very symbolic that this is the opening of a chess game where Trump is targeting radical Islam around the world. Nigeria is the epicenter. I think this was set in motion earlier this year when General Michael Langley, the head of AFRICOM, testified before Congress declaring this the global epicenter of Islamic terrorism today. And when you see the narrative war that's been raging and the gears have been turning from Bill Maher, Nicki Minaj, even Christmas Eve, Netanyahu calling this out, all of those, I think, pointing to a large campaign that's going to be undertaken that's starting right there in 𝗪𝗂𝗃.
But can't we see massive, could we expect massive, intense retaliation now that Trump has effectively struck their encampments? I'm sure this is going to have them go crazy and start a retaliation and probably start going after Christians immediately, correct?
Well, hold on, Nino. Let me just dive in here for a second. First off, right off the bat, within the first few weeks that Trump was in office this term, there was a particularly nasty group tied to ISIS out of Somalia. And Trump got permission from the president of Somalia to attack them. And so they were hiding out in the cave. And we had the proper equipment to go in there and take them out. And they took that whole, the leader and a number of his key people out during a meeting they were having in Somalia. There's been other action assisting particular groups to do things in other parts of Africa, including the efforts to stop what was going on in the Congo. China was helping with that. Iran was involved heavily with that. You have millions and millions dead. Rwanda agreed to back off, and they'd been really working as a functionary of China. Uganda, who is on the border and has, 1 million refugees minimum inside Uganda, has been neutral on a lot of the stuff, allowing ISIS to work in a portion of that country into the Congo. But in Nigeria, that this enclave, this location was really considered to be, as Mike said, very, very remote. And it was off the radar, has quite a large number of people there, but had become the center, especially because of the attack in Somalia, some other things that happened there on the run. So they were regrouping at this location. This should be looked at in the context of quite a few things that have happened over the last year that are mostly off the radar for most of the listeners, and including the fact that they haven't been able to rally in the Congo the way they had been doing. Even the South Africans that were up there with their own private military operating in the Congo, doing some mining of cobalt and like that, they've been pushed out. So this fallback position was where they were going to fight back from. We're not waiting for them to respond. We've been going on they've already been doing that. You wouldn't expect retaliation. Remember, and Iran's right in there with all this going on here.
Wow.
So rather than wait for them to do some big thing with what they were trying to do, which is what they're trying to do in Somalia also, we're taking them out before they get to do something bigger from this rallying point. And by the way, remember, with Iran in there, this global terrorism theme is not, without merit. They're trying to reach out across the world and make a point. Remember, the contention was that 𝗬𝗵𝗶𝗋 did 9/11 from, the caves in Afghanistan. That wasn't true, but it made a nice narrative, was cover for something else. And we're not waiting for them. We're taking them out. They want to pop their head up. They want to start planning stuff. Maybe we hear more than we tell about what's coming, and we'll strike first to protect ourselves, protect the world.
Could that lead to activation of cells in America now that we've basically declared war on them, right? I mean, or like struck them? Could that activate cells?
But that's what I'm saying. They've already been activated. This is preemptive to cut off the head.
But that's Africa. What about here in America?
But the whole point is that's what they were trying to do. That's what Somalia was all about. They were planning on doing attacks in America. Some of the fallback and retribution in South Africa is aimed at the U.S. That's why
we cut the head off the snake. Is that what you're saying? We just cut the head off the snake?
This is another location within Africa. These groups are communicating. Iran is a core to a lot of their communications, and as far away as it sounds like it is from America, these jihadists are planning on striking at us from these remote locations. But in the case of Nigeria, the threat to peaceful Christian populations has been extreme, and they just seem to work without any pushback. The Nigerian government has been totally incapable not fully unwilling, but not capable of pushing back against these people. So we just let them know they're in range, and we have a backhoe.
Mike,
Most of
do you
our
want?
weapons, you don't need a backhoe. They create the whole hole for in the first place. We can strike very deeply, very effectively at a distance when others can't. And doesn't matter if you got a nuclear weapons facility in bunkers. We got weapons that'll reach that far. We're putting these terrorists on notice that this is not the Biden administration. This is not the Obama administration, and they need to think about digging deeper and worry more about staying alive than attacking.
So, do we know the casualties yet, Mike? Mike, you want to elaborate on that? Do we know the casualties yet?
No, haven't heard reports just trickling in. The spin on the other side has already started that oh, nobody was killed, but I don't believe that at all. I don't think anybody believes that. So they've already started saying it was just a waste of time. But and I'll keep you up to date as reports come in. I've connected with journalists on the ground that are en route to the actual location as we speak. So we'll have reports.
So, Mike, what kind of retaliation do you feel that we're going to see? I know you're going up to, I don't know how many trips you take a year, but more than one a year to Nigeria, where you do a lot of charity work up there, building schools, things like that. How do you think the climate's going to be changed now?
Well, just this month alone, I've gotten over 50,000 Facebook followers from Nigeria. It's crazy. And so to keep up with that, I was just there in October. They are calling this the greatest Christmas gift they've ever received. The Trump bombing the terrorists on Christmas Day, enormously popular move among the Christian side. Of course, opposite on the Muslim side. Nigeria, people need to understand, Nigeria is the 6th largest nation on earth by population. It's got vast mineral reserves. It's one of the top 5 oil producing and exporting nations on earth. It's a plum. And the deck is stacked. Their constitution is written intentionally to give the upper hand to the radical Muslims from the north. They control that government, just really an illusion of democracy. And they're largely complicit with this. So this is a bigger play than just knocking out a cell of ISIS. The globalist Islamists have set Nigeria as their goal to take it over, hijack the economy, and use it as the launch pad for global jihad. So this is the hive right here. And I don't believe reports that the Nigerian government was very cooperative with the U.S. government. We'll see. But their base of support is these northern Muslims. They cannot function without them. And there's many people in the administration who have said positive things about jihad. I mean, this is not hostile. These outfits are not hostile to the Nigerian government and vice versa. They're very symbiotic. So this is very interesting to see how this is going to play out.
So are these preemptive strikes? Now, anybody can answer this question, or you could both speak on this, but are these preemptive strikes? I mean, are we soon going to put in troops and start digging for minerals? Is that what's really going on here?
I think minerals are certainly a facet of it. China's been looting the minerals from the north, of over $9 billion a year in illegal mining. All evidence is that it goes to China. They pay rent to these terrorists, and at least 10% they say goes to fund the corruption and blood that supports it all. So China has a bloody hand in the minerals there, and it's rare earth elements. It's tin, it's lithium, it's the stuff that this the center of the global mineral chess game. It's right there. So
are we cleaning? Are we basically cleaning house before we send our miners in there to start mining the minerals to make it a safer atmosphere?
It remains to be seen. It's a big house to clean. It's about the size of Texas, which is a big place. And so a lot of work needs to be done. And they're deeply entrenched, again, not just in little hideouts, but in institutions in Nigeria. So I think this is the start of a long fight. I don't know if it'll be troops. I don't know what it'll be. The Nigerian people, I think, if that government topples, they'll establish a fair, equitable, and friendly nation to the United States. That's where the people are. It's just that the tyrants are tied with the radical Muslims. So it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, let me just dive in there a little bit more. The government there in Nigeria talks a good line, but the leadership is Muslim. And for example, the largest oil company in Africa, Awanda Oil, is out of Nigeria. and they're for the most part apolitical. But the only way to play this game is to be favorable with the Muslims. They even allow that the pipeline gets tapped continuously and oil bled off of it by these terrorists who then get money for that oil. They're bleeding a portion of these pipelines and diverting that for cash. Within the mining community, you have this faction of the mining that's totally off the books that they just ignore in order to maintain some type of relative peace. By doing this and forcing the hand of the government there in Nigeria to work with us, if you will, make an agreement to allow us to go in and strike these people, is preemptive to then looking at how are we going to bring in other businesses to do the mining and divert that money back into government coffers, official ledgers, and Western companies, helping Nigeria to get back on the straight and narrow because they've been hijacked in many ways, just like China was involved and still is in the affairs of the Congo and a lot of the very specialized minerals there that they need. Same thing in Uganda. They put a huge dam at the top of the Nile, and China financed it to obligate Uganda to have China present in a lot of their affairs. China's all through this, and with China, Iran. And so by getting this on the books, you're going to have to come to some type of agreement. You're going to have to allow some type of real policing. And if you're not going to do the policing, then we're not going to do business with you. Setting the stage to obligate them to the West as opposed to the East. Does that make sense? That sound about right to you, Mike?
Yeah, no, you got it. We both come from a slightly different perspective on it, but we come to the same conclusions.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Juan. As eyes were on Venezuela, all eyes on Venezuela, it was almost like a magic trick. I know that you said that we were going to go after Nigeria at some point, Congo specifically, I think, but here we are. We struck Nigeria before Venezuela. Was that like a sleight of hand here? Like all eyes were on Venezuela, and then it pops off in Nigeria.
Well, we did negotiations with everybody involved to do what we did in bringing the Rwanda Congo thing to some kind of a semi-peaceful stop in the killing, the murder. Here there had to be some type of action, just like we did in Somalia. In Venezuela, even though we race up to the border, if you will, and create a picket line, no ships in, no ships out, cutting off Venezuela from outside supply. There's not sites that we really want to go in and bomb necessarily, except precisely where Maduro is or any of the key people protecting him. We're not going to war with Venezuela. We're cutting off the supply lines and the egress lines for oil, their fuel for their economy. Going to choke them off. It's much more effective. But in Nigeria, you don't really have that capability. You can't cut off the supply lines in and out of Nigeria easily. And that's not the real threat. Just like Somalia, it's you have some warlords that are working from there with impunity. I guarantee you we took out a few very key people, and the rest of them are now trying to find other places to go burrow in. And they certainly won't be coming and going for their meetings into that area, that northeastern area. It's just a no man's land of there's no government operation there. There's no control of that area centrally. It's a free for all. So we had to kind of put them on notice. We're coming. We're here.
So will we see a bounty on Ramaphosa's head, like Maduro?
I believe so. That's the intent. Is probably a $50 million bounty there. Might even be higher at this point. And what's the real use of the bounty? In the case of Venezuela, we're negotiating with the generals that have, been in play with a lot of the leadership there, and with Maduro specifically. So there's money on the table if they want to defect, go somewhere else, but they want to hand over Maduro first, or they want to stay in power. And with the shipping cut off for oil, nothing coming or going, they're in a crisis. They've only got months, and then there's permanent damage, maybe less than that, really. There's permanent damage to their oil fields because you can't just turn off the flow of oil. They don't have tankage to hold huge volumes of oil there in Venezuela. And so it begins to damage their wells, and all of the people of real wealth, including the companies pulling their strings, that benefit from having Venezuela, somewhere, on the hook, including especially China. They've got to decide, is Maduro worth more than that oil is to them? Or do they decide to let it be destroyed because if we don't get it, nobody gets it? In Nigeria, it's not quite the same story. You just plain have to take out that leadership and stop them. And um, their mentality is a jihad mentality. They are very much so fight to the death, and so the only thing you can do is just deliver death to them. That's what they want.
With that being said, Mike, are you going to continue your pilgrimages? I mean, your expeditions over there? Or are you going to stop? I mean, I'm sure it's going to it's going to escalate in danger now, right? I mean, are you still going to be going there?
Well, yeah, I feel called there, and I can't go back the same way. Since October 14th press conference, they had invited me. The government of Nigeria invited me to do like a 𝗬𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗍 a Vietnam thing, where I was going to go and meet with these imams and such. And then they had a big press conference, all the international media. I was supposed to declare there's no genocide, and I flipped the script and I indicted them for genocide. Thought it might get me killed, but that flipped the global narrative from 80% denial to 70% affirmation of genocide. Had over 3.2 billion impressions in 72 hours, and now I'm extremely famous. I had a Nigerian cab driver in Washington D.C. in the rearview mirror say, "It's Mike Arnold," in his cab.
Wow.
So I'm very well recognized there, for good or for bad. The ringleaders, from all intents and purposes, the ringleaders of this genocide have name-checked me online. So I've got no doubt a fatwa against me. I've got Muslims threatening me online every day. So,
and you're not worried. You're still going to go there. You're going
to. I actually had Senator Sam Brownback told me I had to harden my security here in the Texas Hill Country. I'm carrying. He said it's a very real threat. But you know what? I got to do the Lord's work. I'll go back. I'll be armed. I'll have security. I'll, be careful. But
I'm sure this is going to escalate. I mean, this is the detention, the danger.
Yeah, but you know what? The darkness it doesn't exist. It's the absence of light. And if somebody's got to shine that light, and I'm not afraid to tell the truth, and whatever it costs me, my life's no more valuable than the Christians being slaughtered there every day. And if God has a call for me to go and speak the truth, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Beautiful. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you both coming on. I just wanted a quick segment on this, quick hit on this. I'm going to put this up on YouTube and .tv. Mike, where do people find you?
MikeArnold.org. It's the easiest way. MikeArnold.org. And you can find my schools there too.
And then, Juan, it's still thejennifermac.com, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And by the way, prayer required, these Christians that have been being attacked in Nigeria, they really do need this type of protection and support. If you're looking at retaliation, it would be them that would be the most likely to suffer in that way. But certainly the Islamics, the ISIS people, now know that we're coming, and if they reach out in that way, they're going to get an answer real quick.
All right, gentlemen, I appreciate you both for joining me. Thank you so much, Mike, for your time. Thank you, Juanito. I'll see you all later.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
God
right.
bless you.
All right.